When Grace met her match, the fluorescent lights hummed softly in the maternity ward hallway as Sarah clutched her rounded belly and took another careful step forward. At 8 months pregnant, every movement required thought and balance. The mint green hospital gown swished gently around her legs as she made her way back from her ultrasound appointment. She was smiling, thinking about the healthy baby boy she'd just seen on the monitor, when a sharp voice cut through the peaceful corridor. "So you're the wife," Sarah turned to see a woman in a fitted blue dress striding toward her with fierce determination in her eyes. The woman was perhaps in her early 40s, blonde hair perfectly styled. Her expression, a mixture of anger and something that looked almost like desperation. Before Sarah could respond, the woman grabbed a handful of her hair and yanked hard. Pain shot through Sarah's scalp as she stumbled backward, her hand instinctively protecting her belly. "You don't deserve him," the woman hissed, her grip tightening. "Richard should be with me, not some boring housewife who trapped him with a baby." Sarah's heart pounded as she tried to pull away, but the woman's hold was relentless. Behind them, a nurse at the station gasped and reached for the phone. A younger man in a brown jacket who'd been visiting a patient nearby rushed forward, shouting for security then. A commanding voice boomed down the hallway. "Let her go this instant." An older gentleman in a long black coat moved with surprising speed for someone in his 70s. His silver hair was neatly combed, and despite his age, authority radiated from every inch of his presence. His face was deeply lined with the wisdom of decades, and his eyes held both kindness and unmistakable steel. The blonde woman's grip loosened slightly as she turned to see who had spoken. Her face went pale. "Do you have any idea who you're assaulting?" the man said, his voice dropping to a dangerously quiet tone as he reached them. He gently but firmly removed the woman's hand from Sarah's hair and positioned himself protectively between them. "This is Sarah Morrison," he continued, his voice carrying down the corridor. "And I'm Charles Morrison, her father. Perhaps you've heard of Morrison Industries." The color drained completely from the woman's face. Everyone in the city knew that name. Morrison Industries owned half the commercial real estate downtown and had been a pillar of the community for 40 years. "I didn't know," the woman stammered, taking a step back. Charles turned to his daughter, his stern expression melting into concern. "Are you all right, sweetheart? Is the baby okay?" Sarah nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks, her hand still cradling her belly. "I think so, Dad. She just scared me." The man in the brown jacket had reached them now, along with 2 security guards. Charles turned back to the woman, his voice measured but firm. "I could have you arrested for assault. My daughter is 8 months pregnant, and you attacked her in a hospital. But I'm going to give you a choice instead." The woman stared at him, trembling. "You're going to apologize to Sarah," Charles said. "Then you're going to leave this hospital and never contact my son-in-law again. In return, I won't press charges. But make no mistake, if I ever hear you've come near my daughter or my family again, I will use every resource at my disposal to ensure you face the full consequences of your actions." The woman looked at Sarah, shame finally replacing the anger on her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I was wrong. This was terrible. I'm so sorry, Sarah, despite everything." Found compassion rising in her heart. She could see the desperation in this woman's eyes, the loneliness that had driven her to such extremes. "I forgive you," Sarah said quietly. "But you need to find your own happiness, not try to steal someone else's." The woman nodded, tears beginning to stream down her own cheeks, and hurried away down the corridor. Charles wrapped a gentle arm around his daughter's shoulders. "Let's get you checked by a doctor just to be safe." An hour later, after the doctor had confirmed both Sarah and baby were fine, she sat in her hospital room with her father. He held her hand, something he'd done since she was a little girl whenever she needed comfort. "Thank you, Dad," Sarah said softly. "For always being there." Charles smiled, the lines around his eyes crinkling. "That's what fathers do, sweetheart. We protect our children no matter how old they get." "I feel sorry for her," in a way Sarah admitted. "She seems so lost." "You have a kind heart," Charles said. "That's one of the things I'm most proud of. But kindness doesn't mean letting people hurt you. Sometimes the kindest thing is to set firm boundaries." Sarah nodded, understanding the wisdom in his words. When Richard arrived at the hospital an hour later, pale and shaken after Sarah had called him, He found his wife safe in her father's care. The story spilled out, and Richard was horrified by what his mistake had nearly cost them. "I ended things with her months ago," he said, his voice breaking. "I never thought she'd do something like this. Sarah, I'm so sorry it took time, counseling, and hard work, but Sarah and Richard rebuilt their marriage." Their son Thomas was born 3 weeks later, healthy and perfect. And Charles Morrison was there for every important moment, a steady presence of wisdom and unconditional love. Years later, Sarah would tell her son about the day in the hospital, about how his grandfather had protected them both, and about the importance of standing up for what's right while still keeping compassion in your heart. Some lessons she learned can only be taught by those who've lived long enough to understand that strength and kindness aren't opposites, but partners. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales of kindness, wisdom, and the strength of family bonds. Leave a comment below telling us about a time someone stood up for you when you needed it most.